Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining today. This is our third and final session of our series on insights and best practices for planning during times of disruption. If you joined our live session on Monday, you heard our CEO, Ed O'Brien, Head of Product, Jess Liberi, and Head of Financial Planning, Matt Schulte, discuss the importance of using eMoney during this time and how firms can instill confidence during times of market volatility. The second session in the series, hosted by Connor Sung from our financial planning group, dug into the specific features of the eMoney platform that were recommended in that first session. Today, we're going to focus on how you can stay connected with clients during this time. An effective communication strategy is always critical to your client relationship. But in the midst of market volatility and a crisis, it becomes even more vital. However, the changes we're seeing in our current environment are much different than we've seen in the past, much more than the markets are being disrupted. It's changed the way we work, the way that we socialize, and most importantly, how we communicate. To stay connected, to have effective communication, to maintain visibility, to provide clients with guidance and support they need during this time, we're all relying on digital tools and technology. Now, eMoney advisors have already embraced technology and are well positioned to come out ahead. Add a simple, clear, and consistent communication plan along with relevant and timely content, and eMoney advisors are even better suited. These advisors will be the ones who build deeply loyal and satisfied clients. But clear communication doesn't just happen by mistake. It requires thought and planning. I'm Valerie Rivera. I am the Product Marketing Manager for Advisor Brand and Marketing at eMoney. And I'm joined by Bryn Doherty, who is our Manager of Client Communications. Bryn and I have worked closely over many years and I've always appreciated her thoughtful approach to client communication strategy. And I'm glad that she's able to be here to share her expertise for how to communicate with clients during this time.
Thanks, Val. This is Bryn. So I think right now we can probably all agree that we're in a very distressing time right now. And there's a lot that's going on that's outside of our control. But it's important to focus on what we do have control over. And that's the way that we decide to keep in touch with one another and the way that we make each other feel during this time. So what's going to really help you get through this and what's going to help your clients get through this is communication on a personal level and on a professional level. So I'm really grateful for the opportunity to talk with you all today to share some of what I've learned over my time at eMoney the past 7 years, really around the power of communication. At eMoney, we've seen ups and downs before. Of course, nothing to this extent, but what we're going to show you today is what we've seen that works. So hopefully you'll take something away from this that will help you connect with your clients, which is what they really need from you right now. So today we're going to share our insight and guidance for navigating the land of communications during this interesting time. So what we'll cover today are tips to keep in mind as you think through your communications, a pre-built communications plan you can easily implement step by step, and how you can leverage eMoney's advisor branded marketing to support your communications plan. So we welcome any questions that you might have along the way. You can feel free to enter them into the Q&A function that you'll see at the bottom of your screen, and we'll reserve some time at the end to answer some live or plan to follow up with you directly to get you an answer. And following today's session, we'll be sending out a recording of this session, as well as recording of the first 2 sessions in case you missed them. And just one last note, any clients who are using an enterprise version of eMoney, you might see a slightly different experience in regards to some of the advisor branded marketing functionality and available content that we'll cover. All right, so before we build out our plan, let's first just take a look high level at some tips and things that you should be keeping in mind as you're building out your communication strategy. So you'll see those listed here. So the first is to be proactive. During the COVID-19 pandemic, you might feel like you're getting an email from anybody you've ever purchased a product from. Anybody else? Just me? It might feel like noise and an annoyance to you, and you might feel like you don't want to be more clutter in your clients' inboxes. But you play an essential role in your clients' lives. As their financial advisor during a financial crisis, they're expecting to hear your voice and point of view, and they're expecting you to reach out proactively. So don't wait for your clients to reach out to you with questions, because if they have to come to you to ask basic questions about how your office is operating during this time, which really should be addressed in a broad communication, you risk frustrating your clients. And of course, we don't want them to feel like they're not getting the critical support that they need from you during times of crisis. So be sure to calm their concerns proactively with your educated and experienced perspective. Our second tip is to communicate regularly. Um, the COVID-19 landscape is evolving rapidly from 1 hour to the next. So as the situation progresses, the email that you sent last week might not be entirely relevant anymore. So plan to reach out regularly with perspectives like your take on what's changed in the market, what you're expecting to evolve in the near term, and how your office has responded. And remember, it's more important to be timely at this point than it is to have all the answers. Our third tip is to consider your communication channels. Now, a lot of advisors aren't entirely comfortable using channels outside of email, but there are a few easy ways to pull in other mediums to connect with your clients. Email is a great and easy way to connect with clients, and you can take your email to the next level by adding a personal video, a blog post you've written, a link to your client webinar, or other PDFs that you can find in advisor branded marketing. Now is also a great time to be posting to social media, so we'll talk through how to do some of these things in more detail in the future. Our fourth tip is to remind your clients of your value proposition. You are investing in sophisticated technology that's built to support your clients through any situation. You're not some advisor who has files locked away in the office and now can't access them to service your clients. So set your clients' minds at ease by reassuring them of your strong business continuity plans and ensure them that you're well positioned to continue to serve their needs in any situation. Our fifth tip is to be inspirational. With the onslaught of intense media coverage, I think a lot of people are finding themselves just watching the news constantly. So it's really easy for clients to fall into this doom and gloom mindset. Of course, it's your role to keep them educated on the impacts to their financial situation, but just be careful of overloading them with negativity. It's important for your clients to remain calm so they can make smart and strategic decisions rather than panicked, ill-informed decisions. And it's with an optimistic yet informed attitude that you can keep them on the right track. Sixth tip is to be empathetic. Finances are top of mind for many of your clients right now, but others might be focused on things like entertaining their kids while prepping for a conference call, caring for a loved one who may be impacted by COVID-19, or they could even be sick themselves. So just be very mindful of the messaging that you're sharing with your clients. And also use this as an opportunity to connect with your clients on a human level. And offering to go above and beyond for your clients during this time is going to really help you secure those loyal clients for life. And finally, listen. So you don't want to just blast out content and have no indication of whether those communications were a success. So just pay close attention to the feedback that you're hearing from your clients. If you're hearing a lot of questions, maybe consider upping your communication frequency. If you're hearing a lot of the same questions, maybe compile your answers together and send out a quick FAQ document. And if you're hearing positive feedback about your communications, that's awesome. Use that as validation that you're on the right track and not an invitation to slow down.
Bryn mentioned some really helpful tips to keep in mind, and it's clear that to stay connected in the current environment, you're going to need content and ways to distribute that content. There's the saying, content is king. I think that has never been more true. We were already major consumers of content, and now we have more time left to our devices. Inevitably, we're gonna consume even more content. But I've heard a lot of feedback from advisors over the time that creating and sourcing content is a major challenge. It's time consuming, but it is still needed. So for those that don't know, we do have a solution at eMoney for this. It's advisor brand and marketing. which I'll probably refer to as ABM for short. It is an add-on, and it includes over 2,000 items of content that are ready for you to share, and much of that content is provided through our partnership with Financial Media Exchange. So we've got a ton of content in there, and I just want to remind those that have ABM to leverage the timely and relevant content that we already regularly release. And we're working on adding even more content that's relevant to what's going on with the current environment, and also being able to provide more content that's focused on helping you communicate during this time. So in a few minutes, Bryn is going to cover her 6 easy steps to building and executing a communication plan during this time. She's going to focus on the what for each of the steps, and I'm going to focus on the how. Many of her recommendations are going to reference where content is already available in ABM so that you can leverage that content. And so before we go through those steps, we thought it would be helpful to take just a quick look at how content is organized within ABM. Then as we walk through each of the steps, you'll know where to access the corresponding materials to execute on that how. So when you log into the eMoney platform and you're subscribed to Advisor Branded Marketing, you'll find it by clicking the More link up here and then Advisor Branded Marketing. And you're going to see that we have 4 main sections, and each of these align with how content is organized so we know where to go. The first is campaigns. So these are a series of automated communications that are really specific to prospecting and generating new business. While this is our newest feature that was released just last month, we're not going to focus on this area today. We're really focused on engaging our current clients. So we're going to spend our time in these other 3 sections. eMoney materials, which is going to be content that is specific to the eMoney platform. And then we have our content library, which is a full library of timely and relevant content, as well as evergreen content. And then emails. So while the content in these other 2 sections can be distributed via email, the email section is going to be templates for life events like birthdays and other financial milestones. Right, so we'll take a look at each one of the sections here. And as we go through, we're talking about COVID-19 client communication, so I'll be sure to point those out and where you'll be able to find them. So eMoney materials is going to be content that really helps you show the client portal and the eMoney platform as part of your advisory services. So we've placed a handful of resources within the featured category here that are going to be most useful during this time. These resources are great to remind clients of how they can use their client portal and stay informed about their finances. The mobile slick, for example, this is a good supplemental piece for reminding clients that they can access their client portal from any device. The vault overview, great to reiterate the value of the vault, as well as screen sharing. We've got another slick there. So hopefully you're leveraging screen sharing throughout this time, which we will talk about a little bit more later, but take some time to go through those resources there in that section. There's a lot of pieces that can help you with your communication strategy. Sorry, it keeps flipping back. Our next section is going to be the content library. This is where you're going to find evergreen content to address any specific topic with a client. The categories are going to be listed by topic on the left. So as it loads here, we'll see them. And you can sort through this content with these filters here based on who your target audience is. Now you want to pay attention to the featured category. Articles that are related to current events in the market are going to be released weekly. They already are released weekly to the featured section. So this is where you're going to find the most recent content. This is going to be your go-to place for checking for new articles. Now, as content is released to this featured category, the older items will move to the industry insights category. This way, they're always available and you can see them in a chronological order from when they were released. So if you saw something last week in the featured section and you didn't have a chance to send it, be sure to check the industry insight section because that's where you're going to be able to find it. And then finally, we have the email section. So I mentioned this is where you can access email templates for life events, financial milestones, and holidays, really to stay top of mind with your clients. You can also create your own emails or attach content items from the content library. We've created relevant email templates that will be covered in the communication plan, and these are going to live in the featured section as well. So now that we have an understanding of ABM and how to navigate those resources that are available to us, I'm going to hand it back to Bryn so she can go through those 6 easy steps for the communication plan.
Perfect. Thanks, Val. So, as we mentioned earlier, creating and executing your communication strategy is going to require thought and planning, but you don't have to reinvent the wheel. So, we're going to take you through these 6 steps to creating and executing your strategy, and we'll show you exactly how you can leverage the materials in the Advisor Branded Marketing subscription to put this plan into action with minimal effort. So you might have already completed some of these steps on your own, but as we discussed earlier, you want to stay in frequent communication with your clients. So even if you have already taken some of these steps that we're going to outline, you can still feel free to take advantage of the resources that we'll call out in your next communications. And then on the flip side, if you haven't taken any of these steps yet, that's totally fine too. It's not too late to put this plan into action as well. So our first step is to inform clients broadly. Getting on the phone with your clients is great, but you can't call every client. And even if you do, you might not be able to reach them. So first and foremost, you want to send out a mass email to your clients to give them a comprehensive update. The purpose of this first communication that we'll cover is to proactively share your take on what's going on and how your office is prepared to respond. In this communication, you're going to want to highlight a couple things. So first is your business continuity plan. It's a great idea here to tout the technology that you're using to keep your office connected, and that should include your eMoney technology as well. And specifically, you can call out some of the core functions that were discussed on the first webinar of the series, like the client portal, the vault, the interactive decision center, screen sharing, and any other video sharing technology that you might be using. You'll also want to note how clients can expect to interact with you in the interim. And this is going to require some foresight around how you do, in fact, expect to contact your clients during this time. So I recommend planning to email your clients about once a week over the next few weeks. In addition, you might feel comfortable committing to a weekly webinar where you'll discuss the topics in your email in further detail. Or you might include a quick 1-minute video of yourself in your email each week. Whatever you decide to do, whatever you feel like you can commit to in terms of regular communication with your client, just give them this peace of mind by letting them know in your first communication how you plan to be in touch throughout these volatile times.
All right, so let's look at how we can execute on this within ABM. Right, so we would access our email templates because we do have a pre-built template that you can take advantage of specifically for this step. So you would go into the email section and then featured, and then we're going to take a look at the comprehensive business update. Now this template already includes everything that Bryn just walked through. It's going to give you a brief take on what's going on. It's going to have a little bit about business continuity plan, and then how your clients can expect to work with you during this time. Now, these templates are nice because they already have the content drafted, but it's best to thoroughly review all of the content and make it your own. I highly recommend personalizing with your own messaging and your own tone. So you can do that by clicking edit, and then you can work within the field here. I just want to mention a couple things that you'll see, or if you haven't already noticed in the email templates throughout ABM, are these brackets. This is going to signify or signal you to that you have to make an update in some way. We're trying to provide you with guidance on what you should do there, but just want to make sure that you're making those updates and really just adding your own tone and your own personalized messaging. So in here we're talking about what technology we use. So if we have eMoney, we would put that there, and then we also mention our social media channels. We're trying to let our clients know that that's another way that they can reach us. So you'll want to make sure that you add them there. And then additional information around what the best methods for contacting you during this time. Now, all of the emails work the same way. So throughout all the templates that we'll see, it's going to be the same process. You can go in and you can make those edits. Be sure to look for those brackets. And then you can add any contacts. So you can easily add any contacts or from your client list that are already in eMoney. You can also leverage groups if you've set those up. And then if you have a CRM and you're creating a list within your CRM, you can always import that list as a CSV file here. And of course, if there's a few one-off email addresses that you maybe didn't have in your import, instead of having to completely add another import file, you can always manually enter any addresses here. You also want to be sure to adjust the subject line. Take a look at that. You can also add your own header, and then once you're done, you can go ahead and let it fly.
All right, so step 2. We touched on this in step 1, and step 2 is really to stay in front of your clients regularly. So the easiest way to do that is via email, and that means getting into the habit of creating a new email each week, at least over the next few weeks or so while things are really intense. So pick a day that you can commit to each week and hold yourself accountable to hitting that date. In your weekly email touches, you're going to want to provide your perspective on changes that happened in the market since your last communication was distributed. And you can do that in a number of ways. A really low effort way is to just grab our market commentary from Advisor Branded Marketing, which is released every week from our partners at Financial Media Exchange. Traditionally, we had made our market commentaries available once a quarter, but given the current climate, we're going to be making those available each week going forward. And these are great. They're professional, timely, client-friendly updates, which supply really excellent information that you can share with your clients. So if you are going to take this approach in your email, you can pull out a few key takeaways from that market commentary and then link your clients to the full PDF where they can get more information if they so choose. Another personal way to connect with clients is by hosting a reoccurring webinar. If you have a platform to host a webinar and you're comfortable communicating with clients in this way, this should be relatively straightforward. You'll just schedule the session and include a link to register in your weekly emails. And if you don't have a system, there are a number of platforms like Zoom or GoToMeeting that have free versions you can take advantage of. And a personal and impactful way to message clients regularly is also to record a 1-minute video of yourself just in your home office, sharing some of your key takeaways that you can put into your email as well. Now, additionally, if you have a newsletter in place, you can adapt your newsletter to be more relevant for the situation. So the newsletter should primarily focus on relevant COVID-19 content, which you could also find in ABM, which Val will show you. And regarding frequency, let's say you send your newsletters each month. So if so, you can plan to send 3 of these weekly client emails in the month and replace that 4th one with your newsletter. So that way you're still communicating with your clients 4 times in that month. And communicating each week is probably more than you're used to, and for good reason. So don't wait until it's time to distribute your communication to get started on it. So as soon as one communication goes out the door, just start adding your thoughts together for the next one. And that way, when you sit down to put it together, you already have a framework started that you can work from.
So as Bryn mentioned, there's a number of ways that you can stay in front of clients, especially through ABM. So I'm going to walk through how you can use a market commentary as your focus for a weekly communication. So first, you're going to want to find the market commentary to review it. These will be released to the content library and the featured section, or again, the industry insights. The easiest way I think to find them is to just use the search bar up here. And then you're going to want to read through the article. And as you're doing that, take note of what you think the key takeaways are. You know, they're typically, this one is a little bit longer because this is a quarterly, so it's about 5 pages. The others are probably going to be around 2 to 3 pages. But go through those, make sure you're comfortable with the content. And like I said, pull out those, take note of those key takeaways that you think your clients are going to, or it's going to be most relevant for your clients. So you want to come back into ABM and make sure you favorite that content item, and I'll tell you why in a few minutes. And then you're going to go to the eMoney material emails. And we've got the weekly business update email template. So this works the same way that we saw in our previous step. You're going to want to edit the body of the email with the key takeaways that you noted from your from the article. And you're going to see here we have some direction to add our market commentary. So that you can do this by selecting content to share and navigating to favorites. And here we've got that market commentary. So that's why I mentioned it's just a nice, easy way to have that content item appear at the top of your list, just to kind of streamline while you're working through it. But of course, if you don't, you can always find it by locating it in the content library and then the industry insight section. And you can add your contacts the same way that we just saw before. And once that's done, you can go ahead and click send. You can also use our timely content that's available in the content library as you know, featured kind of content that you can add in your newsletter. So again, check this, be sure to continue checking this featured category often. You can get a link to share the particular content item. So you could link directly within your newsletter, or you can always download the item. It will be a PDF, and attach it to the email that you're going to send if you want to send it outside of ABM.
All right, step 3 is to leverage social media to promote your weekly emails. So I know social media isn't always the most natural channel for advisors to gravitate towards, but it is really easy to use when you're in advisor branded marketing. And it also comes with some big benefits, especially if you're connected with clients, which hopefully you are. They'll appreciate seeing your voice out there on Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn. And the bonus is that your prospective clients will also see how composed and knowledgeable you are. And if they're dissatisfied with their advisor during their time of need, your name could be top of mind. So your social media posts should be focused on the same topics that you cover in your weekly outreach. So you don't have to feel like you need to own a variety of different topics. You can stay really focused on what you're already communicating about. And you'll want to post about those topics regularly. 3 times a week is a good rule of thumb, but if you're not able to commit to 3 times a week, just get to posting as often as you're able to.
Yeah, so it's really easy to share content to social channels within ABM. So if we go back into ABM, we can select any content item from the content library or eMoney materials. And once we select share, we're going to see our options for social media, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. Although I'm behind a firewall, so you don't see Facebook in my access, but it is available to you. So you'll choose the piece that you want to share. As Bryn mentioned earlier, we recommend resharing on those same topics that you touched on in your newsletter or on that weekly email. So you could go to the market commentary and share that particular article to social. Now, if you've already shared that post, you've already shared that as a post because she mentioned, sharing 3 times a week. Again, check back in this featured section and see if there's relevant content and use one of these as a way to engage your clients. So I would click share, I'm going to share on Twitter. And then I can make my update or my post right in this field. So I'm already logged into Twitter, so it will post automatically to that account. But I could just put something like, and then you want to probably, I recommend making it so it's more conversational. If you're on Twitter, maybe asking your audience what they think to share their thoughts. And then it's going to include the link to the article that you're sharing. So anybody who sees your post, they'll be able to navigate to that article. And then once I'm done, I can go ahead and click tweet. So really simple way to start a conversation and keeping your clients engaged through those social channels.
All right, and step 4 is strengthening your web presence. So take a look at your web presence, which can include your blog and or your website. If you have a blog, now is a fantastic time to post to it to boost your credibility among your clients, your prospects, and the industry at large. And again, your posts should follow the same themes that are already covered in your weekly emails and now your corresponding social media posts. Once you've published a post, you can amplify your results by sharing that content in your emails and on your social media. And if you need a little inspiration for your blog post, you can browse through some of the ABM materials that we've walked through and include direct links to some of those pieces in your post. Now, if you don't have a blog set up, I wouldn't recommend going through the trouble of building out a blog strategy during this time, just with everything else going on. I would instead focus on some of the other channels, such as your website, for instance, if you have one. It's a great idea to create a temporary page on your website devoted to COVID-19, so clients and prospects can see how you're handling the situation and can refer to resources that you're providing to them. So you can also push clients back here in your initial email and your ongoing weekly emails. And on this page, you can include, again, detail on how you're supporting clients through COVID-19, including the use of the client portal, and relevant resources and articles from the content library.
All right, so you can leverage the content from ABM on your website a few different ways. So as she mentioned, if you have a blog and you're looking for ideas, you can go into the content library and take a look at what the newest content is, go into that industry insight section and see if there's something that's going to be relevant. So coming up with ideas for upcoming posts. Again, check out that featured section in the content library, resharing that market commentary. You can copy and paste the content directly from the article directly into your blog page so that you can edit it or link it directly with the Get a Share link. And then once you've created a blog post, be sure to share that link to your blog post within your emails or through ABM or through those different social channels. And keeping all of that messaging aligned and making sure you're using all of the channels that you have available to you.
All right, step 5 is individual client outreach. So what we've covered up to this point is what we call one-to-many outreach, but you don't want to forget about your more personalized one-to-one outreach during this time as well. So during a really chaotic and unsettling time, clients are going to really appreciate hearing personal outreach from you beyond the typical market update. So if and when you have time, think about what your clients might be going through individually and empathize with them on a personal level. It's a really small gesture, but it'll go a really long way in establishing trust and loyalty among your clients. In addition, there's a great opportunity to reach out to clients for more operational purposes to ensure that their financial plan is in order. So a couple scenarios might come to mind. The first is transitioning your in-person meetings to digital. So with social distancing becoming the new norm for the foreseeable future, you want to let your clients know that they can continue to stay connected with you in a safe environment. You especially want to communicate this message to those who may be more vulnerable to the coronavirus. So reach out to clients you're scheduled to meet with over the next month or two and let them know that you'll be transitioning their meeting to digital. Your email should provide clear steps around what platform you'll be using and logistically how they can access the meeting. The second is something that Matt Schulte mentioned in Monday's webinar session. Right now, you have a captive audience, so it's a great time to have your clients update their information in the vault so you have the most up-to-date documentation for their financial plan. And we have communication templates for both of those in Advisor Branded Marketing, so Val will show you how to access those.
I think it cut out there, but we do have 2 pre-built email templates for both of those scenarios that Bryn just mentioned. So again, you don't have to worry about drafting those emails, which is nice with all of the other things that we have going on right now. So we'll go into ABM. Go into that email section and then featured. And we're going to have the digital meetings template and then the vault document check-in. So digital meetings available and ready for you to help you communicate with those clients that you have a scheduled in-person meeting coming up, and that you can use this to help transition that meeting to a digital meeting. It's going to include instructions for how your client can join you using screen sharing through the client portal. Again, be sure to update the date and time brackets. And then we have that vault document check-in. Is another way to just maintain those personalized outreach and connections with your clients. This is going to focus on how they can use the vault and what, if there's any items that they want to add to their vault this time to make sure that it's up to date.
Okay, our sixth and final step is to listen and reassess. In the coming weeks and months, it's going to be really important to monitor the COVID-19 landscape and just adapt your frequency as needed. In normal circumstances, you want to avoid that constant pestering communication, but in the midst of a crisis, the frequent outreach, of course, is important, but that doesn't mean that you should send weekly emails from now until forever. It means that you should use your best judgment to determine what your clients need. So keep listening to your clients, keep following the news and the market, and use that as guidance to really drive your frequency needs.
So, having an understanding of how clients are engaging with your content and your communications can help you with just listening and reassessing your communication strategy. So within ABM, you can actually see information for each of those emails that are sent. So if we go back to the main email page and then sent, we'll get a full list of our previous communications. And then we can dive into each one of these. These here we can see recipients delivered. Great, just as a reference. But you can also click into viewed and see who's actually opened your email. So it's always good to know who's actually paying attention and who's reading your communications. You can also use analytics charts. We have two for ABM. There's the top marketing pieces, which is going to give you a sense of what content items are getting engagement. And then there's marketing views by link type. And this is going to let you know which channel is getting the most traction. Now, this is really helpful information so that you can tailor your future outreach and engagement based on Bryn's recommendation to listen and adjust. You also want to continue to check back to your ABM subscription for regularly added content. Remember that primary place to look for the newest items, can't say this enough, is the featured section. ABM subscribers also receive a monthly newsletter from us where we highlight the newest content that is added, and then even more importantly is best practices for how to use that content. So definitely make sure you keep an eye out for that email. And we practice these same steps, these same practices that we've mentioned. We're actually increasing the frequency of that communication to bi-weekly. We have a large amount of content, and we are trying to add more content to adjust to the need of content right now. So we want to make sure that you guys are up to date and you have insight into what's coming and what resources are available in a timely manner, as quick as possible. So definitely keep your eye out for that monthly newsletter, or now bi-weekly newsletter.
All right, so let's recap our 6 steps that we went through in building and executing your communication strategy during COVID-19. So the first step that you're going to take is to inform clients broadly. You're going to reach out to all clients to give them a holistic update on your business and how they should expect to interact with you in the coming weeks and months. Step 2 is to stay in touch with your clients regularly with weekly emails on your take on the market and include our market commentaries released each week. Step 3 is to post to social. Easy to do that by grabbing our relevant content from the content library and sharing on your channels. Step 4 is to strengthen your web presence, primarily your blog and your website. If you have a blog, get posting. If you have a website, create a temporary COVID-19 page with information about how you're working with clients, including the client portal and timely resources and articles. Step 5 is to keep up with your personal outreach. Consider using our templates that we mentioned, including outreach around transitioning your in-person meetings to digital and acquiring missing Vault docs as needed. And step 6 finally is to listen and reassess your communication needs based on changes that you're seeing in the environment and based on what you're hearing from your clients. So every communication strategy should be unique to your audience, and new information is going to come out over time that's going to impact your approach. But here is an example of what this could look like, how this could all come together for the month of April. And again, you might have already taken some of these steps. You might have already done a broad email to your clients, for example, but you can always go back and use the contents that we're recommending here from Advisor Branded Marketing that are pre-built. So if you haven't taken any of these steps, again, not too late to start. Here is an example of what this could look like for you. And just one other note, if this looks kind of overwhelming to you, I would certainly focus on the more critical communication channels, which really would be email. I would focus and prioritize regular email outreach to my clients over anything else. So let's take a look at what the rest of this week could look like. So first, you want to inform your clients broadly. You might send out your holistic business update tomorrow to get that message in front of clients as soon as possible. Saturday, you might also leverage social media and get a post out on your preferred channels. Next week, you'll keep up with posting to social media. It might be helpful for you to establish a cadence. So we kind of broke out here a Monday, Wednesday, Saturday cadence. And again, here, don't forget to grab our timely content from the content library. You can also stay in front of clients by starting up your weekly check-in emails and perhaps weekly webinar check-ins as well. You might want to choose to send those on Saturdays, for example, when clients may have some free time to read them. And now looking at the week of April 13th, you can also strengthen your web presence by posting to your blog if you have one and updating your website with a COVID-19 specific section. Partway through this week, you might find some time to distribute individual client emails, which can consist of those personal, empathetic outreach to clients, and also potentially some of those templates that we mentioned around the vault or transitioning in-person meetings. Now, the week of the 20th could be somewhat of a quiet week, kind of depends on what we see in the future here. But you could potentially this week just be keeping up with your social posting and getting your weekly email ready for a Saturday distribution. The last week of the month here, you might be able to get another blog post up and do some more individual client outreaches, of course, in addition to your social posting. So this is just really one way that your communication strategy might play out, but you can certainly use this as a suggestion to build out your own communication strategy. So I recommend just spending a few minutes plotting this out on a shared document that you can review with your whole team so everybody's on the same page around your client outreach strategy. And really, if you're staying on top of your communications to your clients during COVID-19, you are going to solidify a strong emotional bond with your clients that will withstand a lifetime. And you can also gain new business because those satisfied clients are going to be far more likely to refer you to others during this time.
Thanks, Bren. So at this point, we have a few minutes for questions. So we're going to read through those and answer those as best as we can. So give us a few minutes here. And if you have any questions that you haven't already entered, please do so now.
A calendar, we'll absolutely send out a version of that so you can take a look and use that as inspiration as you're building out your communication strategy. So yes, we'll make sure that that's included in your follow-up communication after the session.
Yes, I'm also seeing a couple questions around compliance for the content. So if you are, for the majority, it's going to, you're going to follow your regular compliance process. So however you would go about submitting your content for review and getting compliance approved, you would follow that process. If you're on one of our partners platforms with ABM, a little bit different there. So you would refer to what your home office direction is for that. But the content is, for those that are on the primary platform, you would just go through your normal channels. And so ABM is a add-on subscription. It is 15. There was a question around price, so it is $1,500 per advisor for the year. And then there was also some questions around seeing some of the things that are a little bit different than maybe what you would see in your experience of ABM. Again, that's really going to depend on you know, how your office is configured. All right, so I think that covers all of the questions. Just wanted to say that, you know, we really hope you found the information that we shared today to be useful during these unprecedented times, and really appreciate you taking the time to join us. The work that you all do day in and day out, it's especially during times like this when everyone is enduring challenges. So, you know, even as you're thinking about you and yourself and your family's health and safety, continuing to serve those in need, it's truly amazing. So just want to say we're here to support you during this time. So if there's anything additional we can do to help you get through this time, please feel free to reach out to our client support team. Thank you everyone for joining.
Thank you.